Hello and welcome back. I'm your host, Leslie Cottle. You are listening to This Empowered Life podcast, the podcast delivering tools, knowledge, and wisdom to empower the soul. Today's episode is called How to Connect with Your Highest Self. If you've ever wondered how to connect deeper with your inner wisdom, keep on listening for a personal share and some tips on how to receive the answers from within. Hello, and welcome to today's podcast. Before we get started, I am in Austin in a hotel recording this, so I apologize if the sound is a little bit silly. I'm using some pillows and hoping that it just sounds really good for you guys. So, today we are talking about the higher self. Sometimes we get this really confused with our human bodies, our human thoughts, but your higher self is this eternal part of you. It's what some people might refer to as the soul. It's the real you, the truest, most pure form of you. Some people also call it connecting with God. It's a very godlike energy. And connecting with our higher self is a way to connect with not just inner wisdom, but universal wisdom. It is a voice that comes from a place of pure love, from non-judgment, and from this knowing, this just like knowing inside of you. Now, the first time I heard my inner voice loud and clear, I was in a Reiki session. And this was a period of time in my life where I was really searching for answers. It was right after my first spiritual awakening. I wanted to know what the meaning of life was. I wanted to know what my role was here. I wanted to know what my gifts were. And I was just searching and doing this deep dive into healing and all of these trainings, and really wanting one of these trainings to land with me because I had wanted to deeply know what my gift was here on earth. And in this Reiki session, I was feeling super connected to the universe. And during part of the session, I had this presence arrive, and it felt a lot like God. So I communicated with it and I said, who are you? And I got a response back, and the voice said, I am you. That's what she said. I am you. At the time, I was not willing to accept that answer. And so I asked again, who are you really? And she said, I am everything. I am nothing. I am God. Know I am always here, and you can always talk to me, and know you have a gift to share. And I asked her, well, what is my gift? And she said, it's your voice. Now, she also communicated to me that it was not yet time to share my gift. And of course, that feels very aligned for where I was still searching for all of these answers. And I want to share this with you because this is the first time that I had ever really connected with my higher self. I journaled about this. I called this essence the voice. And looking back, I know that it was my higher self. So I am sure that I had had connections with my higher self before, but there are just so many noises in our head, so many different storylines and things going on that it's really easy to ignore the voice of the higher self. So I want to break down how to connect with the higher self as easily as I can, because the main thing that you have to do to connect with the higher self is that you need to be able to listen. That's it. We're just listening to the higher self. But with all of the noise going on in there, let's also talk about the different types of voices in your head. And I break this down into 3 categories: the conditioned mind, the higher self, and your response to those voices. So, the conditioned mind is a voice of how you've been conditioned since childhood. It's a voice of limiting beliefs. It is a voice that can judge you. It's a voice that can keep you stuck in toxic patterns. It is a voice that often tries to keep you tied to your identity. Now, the conditioned mind isn't a bad voice. It's just that sometimes it keeps us really stuck because it tells us who we are rather than letting us step outside of that, find our edge and step over it. It's the voice that tells you, hey, 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 we've never done that before. Like, so let's stay safe and not try new things. And that's the conditioned mind. The higher self is a pure wisdom. It's a guiding voice. It's so calm. It like has so much love and power behind it. The higher self is also going to only tell you what you are ready to hear. So we don't want you to confuse that with the conditioned mind, because the conditioned mind will also limit you, and the higher self could seem like it might be a limiting voice, but really it's just telling you the next step. It reveals things step by step. So there is a difference, and we have to discern which one it is. And then, of course, the next response or the next voice is your response. So this is how you interact with the voices in your head. As a reminder, you are not any of the voices in your head, right? It's just all of a story. It's just all an experience. And we are not tied to one thing over the other. And so how you connect with your higher self is to be aware of all of these voices and to listen. You just have to listen. And listening is hard sometimes when there's so many things going on. So I want to remind you that the best way to be able to declutter the mind is with meditation. Meditation helps the mind slow down. It helps heal the mind by removing all of the things that we don't need. You're literally like the best tool that you have to quiet the mind. And so if you're really excited about connecting with the higher self and wanting to listen more, meditation is the best tool that you have for that. Now, if you're a beginner to meditation, I have meditations on this podcast. I have meditation training programs. There's also a ton of resources out there. And do it. Try it. It's so, so fun. You will not regret it. And when we're listening to the higher self, that's what we do. We just listen. And another way to do this is by journaling, by asking questions, seeing what comes up. And then when you're rereading everything, you can go back and you can say, okay, is this a voice of my higher self? Is this a voice of limiting thinking? Is this a voice that feels like my response? And being able to actually read everything and have everything on a piece of paper helps you be able to recognize when you're speaking to wisdom and when you're speaking to limitation. So I hope this is super helpful. I hope you have a really great day. Tune in Tuesdays for more yummy and soulful episodes. If you love what you're hearing and want to support the podcast, please follow and rate the podcast on Spotify and Apple to help new listeners find us. To find out more about my coaching and healing practice, head over to my website, www.lesliecottle.com. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode.